What Canadians want is to see a leader who they can trust with the challenges that they have. And I'll be very honest with you, Rosie, Canadians don't trust the Liberal Party of Canada right now.
Karina Gould is making a futile attempt to win the leadership of the Liberal Party. We say futile because as of this time of this recording, she's 19 points behind Conservative candidate Emily Brown. However, this doesn't stop Karina Gould from appearing on CBC and broadcasting for all to hear exactly what Canadians already know. Nobody trusts them.
Let's take a look.
Minister Karina Gould, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Rosie.
I'm going to start with what would be an important milestone if you were to win. You would become the youngest ever Prime Minister. Do you think your age is an issue, an advantage? How are you approaching that part of this?
Well, I think it's definitely an asset. I mean, what I hear from people right across the country is that they are looking for something fresh, they are looking for new energy, and they are looking for someone who is here not just today, but also tomorrow and for the long term. And that's something that I definitely bring to this race.
Okay, and just in terms of mechanics, will you stay inside cabinet during this race or no?
I will be stepping away from cabinet.
Okay, and why did you make that decision?
Well, because I think it's important to be able to, have the space to share the policy ideas that I have that might not necessarily align with where we are today. I think that Canadians are looking for change, and I'm the person that can represent that change for them while still upholding the values that Canadians hold dear.
Being young is not an asset in politics.
No, it's actually frowned upon.
Yeah, it's a detriment.
And why is that? Well, because when it comes to leading the country, you want somebody with lots of life experience. You want somebody who's seen a lot of things, who's been in a lot of situations, who's received a lot of mentorship themselves over their lifetime. So, somebody coming in with a lot of energy and this is why on job sites, you don't put the young guy in charge. You put the guy who's earned his stripes, the guy who has gotten his scars from making lots of mistakes, and he actually can keep the young guys safe as they're mentoring them. So, no, Karina, your age is not an asset because she's not even 40 yet.
Right. She was born the exact same year that I was. And you're about 5.5 years older than me. So Ryan's got 5.5 years more life experience than I do. And I don't even think you would be well suited to be Prime Minister because, the next guy's got that much more experience than you. It's just, there's things you cannot learn from a textbook. You have to get them from life. And when you're only 37 years old, that's not a lot of living you've done yet.
Well, and it depends on what experience you have had, right? So, the Liberals criticize Pierre Poilievre all the time. Well, you've never had a job outside of politics. Okay, so Karina's been in politics for about 10 years. That means she's been in politics since her 20s. So what's the difference? Right,
you come out of school, you do your undergrad, you're finished by 22, and then if you do your master's right away, maybe you're 24, maybe 26 by the time you're done, and slam dunk into politics. That's not a lot of life experience either. I don't know if she has a master's. I don't even know if she has a bachelor's. I'm just saying if you progress down that path that many people do, which is post-secondary education, that's the age you're going to be when you're done.
So let me ask you more about that then. As you know, your opponents are already suggesting that anyone else who enters this race is essentially just another Justin Trudeau representing some of those same values. In what way do you represent change, given the roles, the big roles you've played inside Justin Trudeau's cabinet?
Well, look, I have been a member of Parliament for almost 10 years now, and the thing that makes me different is that I am very much a grassroots politician.
Okay, so we're just stopping here because I want to comment on what a frickin' terrible job CBC is doing of setting up this interview.
Yeah, it's very distracting with all this stuff happening on the side. I understand that it's breaking news, but like just the zoom ins and outs and the swipes, and it's very distracting.
Well, like you're cutting off Karina, and you know, is this about what's going on between the two people that are having the interview, or the flashing lights that's on the side? And you even brought in the audio from that, $1.4 billion, and this is the result.
That's what it bought us, folks.
I am in this because I care so deeply about our country, but most importantly, because I care about Canadians. And at a time when we need to be standing up and fighting for Canadians, for our jobs, for our economy, I'm here to fight for that, and to fight for that against Pierre Poilievre and his dangerous cuts agenda and the changes that he wants to make to our country that will only lead to chaos, and to fight for Canadians in the face of the tariff threats that we're getting from the United States.
So I love that she's talking about these dangerous cuts that Pierre Poilievre wants to make, like the carbon tax, which sounds like at least one of your opponents is going to get rid of. So it looks like they're going to be cutting it, aren't they? And Carney has said, oh, well, you know, government spends too much. Okay, so what does that mean? That means cuts. So they're not so dangerous if people running for the Liberals that are allegedly liberal values are actually planning to cut things in Canada.
It's only dangerous to irresponsible governments.
Right. And even, you know, Chrystia Freeland, you know, while she was in government, she said, oh, everything's fine, you know, don't look over here. And then now that she's running for the Liberal leadership, she's saying, oh, yeah, you know, I fought with the Prime Minister of overspending and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you think the government is spending too much. So apparently everybody in the world thinks that the government is spending too much, except for the young, naive person running to be the leader of the Liberal Party. And this is why you don't let young people become the Prime Minister. You can run, but don't elect them.
Tell me how you would stand up to Donald Trump then, given his threats of tariffs, of economic annexation. This would be a big jump for you in terms of your career. How would you approach Donald Trump?
Well, in fairness, Rosie, I have been a cabinet minister for 8 years, and so I do bring a lot of experience to the table, and I've held some very senior roles in government. I was on the first Canada-US Cabinet Committee when we stood up to Donald Trump the first time, and I chaired the Cabinet Committee on Canada and the world. So I bring a lot of experience to the table. But one thing that I can say is that I'm not sure that journalists and central bankers are the kind of people that Donald Trump listens to. And if you give a bully your lunch money, they don't stop asking you for your lunch money. They come back for more, and they try to shake you down for more.
Okay. So Karina says Donald Trump is not going to, you know, respect a central banker. He's not going to respect a journalist. But he's going to respect you? What do you classify yourself as? Like, this is a person who has an undergrad, is not even 40 years old. Donald Trump is twice her age.
He could be like her granddad.
Yeah.
Yeah, my granddad's about that age, so.
So like this is the problem when you're trying to criticize your opponent. It's like, oh well, you know, he's not gonna talk to this guy, not gonna talk to this person. You'll talk to me though. Okay.
You know,
Why?
I think Karina Gould does not have any good answers for these questions because I don't think she's actually meant to be a serious candidate. I think she's just meant to take votes away from Chrystia Freeland.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna pretend that she's, you know, attacking Carney or whatever, but like it's a joke. Like this is a joke. And
it is a joke.
And this was right before she had her like little speech to launch her campaign. So like every single one of these people, and she's not even the serious one, and she's probably, you know, launched at about the same intensity as the other two. So anyway, off we go.
And so what we need is someone who is going to be strong, who's not afraid to stand up to bullies, who knows and understands the value of what Canada has to offer. And as David McNaughton, our former ambassador, used to say, Canadians are friendly, we are nice, but we also know how to play hockey. And right now is a time of national unity. It's time for us all to come together, regardless of political stripe, and to make sure that we are all on Team Canada. And I am a team builder, and I'm looking forward to making sure that we have that pride in our country, what we offer, what we stand for, and to stand up for Canada.
The journalist you're referring to there is not me, it's Chrystia Freeland, who's also, of course, the former finance minister and deputy prime minister, and Mark Carney, the former governor of the Bank of Canada in England. They both have a lot of experience, obviously, when it comes to the economy. We're in a cost of living crisis. People are concerned about affordability. We're talking about the tariffs. How would you position yourself in terms of economic experience, given the challenges we're facing right now?
Yeah, well, look, I think right now what people are looking for is somebody who understands what they're going through and who recognizes the challenges that they're facing. I think
Understands what they're going through.
You guys have no idea. You sit in your ivory towers and you look down upon us peasants, and you guys need a carbon tax. It's giving you more money than you're paying into it. Don't tell me otherwise.
And
Like, that's how they treat us.
you need more criminals on the street, not less. You need more drugs on the street, not less.
Have you considered why that person is a murderer? You know, maybe they had a bad upbringing.
Yeah, have some empathy towards the violent criminals. Like,
This is how these politicians treat us, how these liberals treat us. It's ridiculous.
someone who understands. Well, at least she's been taking lessons from Chrystia Freeland. We understand.
You got
We
the hand motions in there
Canadians.
too. Oh, goodness.
what Canadians want is to see a leader who they can trust with the challenges that they have. And I'll be very honest with you, Rosie, Canadians don't trust the Liberal Party of Canada right now. And I think that's because over the past couple of years in particular, we've gotten further away from the grassroots and talking about the things that Canadians care about.
You know, I love how they're, all of them, Gould, Freeland, Carney, they're all trying to blame the leadership, i.e. Trudeau, not recognizing that many of them were part of that leadership. Freeland and Gould for sure. And you could even argue Carney because he was helping with the financial situation towards the end, the last couple of years.
Oh, I think they recognize it. They just want everybody to ignore it. That's the thing, right?
Well, we're not going to let that happen, are we?
So, well, that's why we're talking about this right now. But I think it's interesting that she literally did what I said the Liberals should do on our live stream the other night, which is you just need to lay the cards on the table and you need to be honest with people.
Maybe you should stop giving them tips.
Maybe I should, shut up. Because I don't know, they're doing what I say, but come on, like come on here. I'm just beside myself at the fact that, again, they're almost treating this like the Conservatives were the ones in power and they're the ones, they're the ones that they're running against in this case, but they're not. They're running against themselves.
They're running against their own bad record.
And you know what? I agree with you, Karina. Nobody trusts the Liberal Party. So why should anybody trust what you say when you were in the government?
And you're still in the Liberal Party.
Like,
it's interesting. I had this conversation with my mom earlier tonight, and she had said, I don't think that the Liberals are going to win. I think pretty much what we've been saying. I think that the gap is going to narrow, that especially if it's Carney, it's going to be a tough race. But Canadians don't vote in a government, they vote out a government, and Canadians are tired of the Liberals.
well, and the fact that Karina is sitting there saying, well, I have all this experience in this government. Yeah, the government that you are saying Canadians don't trust. That's a problem.
What don't they trust about the Liberal Party, and how would you correct that?
Well, look, whether it's with regards to housing or the cost of groceries, they're saying things are expensive for us right now, and we need help to make ends meet, and we need leaders who are focused on those really, things that matter to us, like our pocketbook issues and making sure that we're there. And so as a former Minister of Families, I can tell you that, one of the things that I'm proudest of is bringing in the National Child Care Program that has reduced fees for families right across the country. And so when it comes to what matters to people, I've helped Canadians save thousands of dollars a year to make sure that their kids are looked after well. And in Ontario alone, that means 100,000 more women have joined the workforce.
Okay, one of the areas, sorry to interrupt you, one of the areas, of course, where people are concerned about affordability is the carbon tax. Yes, there is a rebate. People got it just this past week, but it has become a very contentious issue. Would you scrap the consumer carbon tax?
So I just want to tell you one of the things that I love about Canadians.
Excuse me? Hey, Ryan, would you scrap the Canadians' consumer carbon tax?
Well, before I answer that, let me tell you what my favorite pizza is. Because I really like pizza. And you know what? Canadians really like pizza. Let's talk about pizza. Have you forgotten your question yet?
Like, that's how these politicians answer these hard questions. It's ridiculous. I do want to back up a little bit, though, before we address that a little further. It kind of makes me angry the way that the Liberals especially say things like, we brought in this childcare that allowed 100,000 more women go to work.
That forced 100,000 women to go to work.
Right, because what the Liberals are prioritizing is more taxpayers. We have more taxpayers. If we use some of the tax money for childcare, we have more taxpayers. But why are they not prioritizing motherhood? That's the thing I want to know.
And because if you have the entire of society dependent and in the rat race, then they're too busy to pay attention to the government, and they're too busy earning their own money to even notice what's going on.
Well, and if the populace is too reliant on the government for all these programs, including childcare, so that they can go to work and have to earn a second income, not by choice, but they have to earn a second income just to keep the family afloat, well, then they're not going to vote out that government that is giving them all these things, right? They're going to use this threat of austerity and, well, the Conservatives are going to come in and take it away. Are you going to vote for the Conservatives? Or are you going to vote for us who are helping you out with all this stuff? That's exactly what they're trying to do here.
Well, and she even said, Canadians are saying we need help. No. We don't need help making ends meet, because I don't want any help from you. And Canadians don't want any help from you. What we need is the ability to be self-sufficient.
Right.
That means lower taxes. That means less government programs. And that means less government programs that are making people overly reliant on the government. Should there be a safety net for when things go really bad? Sure. But along with that safety net, there should be programs to get people off of that safety net and back into the workforce to be self-sufficient. And that should be celebrated.
And we need to get rid of the government waste as well. Like, a bloated government leads to government waste.
And more money back in the taxpayer pocket means a healthier economy, because that means there's more money going from the taxpayer back into the economy.
Well, and more businesses will want to come and set up shop in Canada.
Right, because people have more disposable income, so they can buy the commodities out there. But this is what we've seen. You see business after business is packing up and leaving and closing, because guess what? Nobody can afford this stuff anymore. People can barely afford food. You think people are going to be, going out and buying luxury clothes and stuff like that? It's not happening.
Because what I love about Canadians is when there's a challenge, they're looking for a solution. And when I was doing consultations on our climate change policy, one thing that Canadians asked me over and over again was, how can I help reduce my own emissions? I think when it comes to the consumer price on pollution, Canadians are saying, okay, I care about climate, but is this the right policy for me? And so what I'm looking to do is say, how do we make big polluters pay more, because pollution shouldn't be free? And how do we create programs and incentives for Canadians to make the decisions that they want to make? People want to buy EVs, they want to buy hybrids, but they're too expensive. So how can we help them achieve those objectives? They want to reduce their emissions.
Is that a yes, Minister? Is that a yes, Minister?
I'll have more to say on this, but what I can say, Rosie, is that what I want to do is make sure that we're helping Canadians make the decisions that they want to afford those decisions, because what I understand about Canadians is that they care about the climate change, they care about reducing their emissions, and they're looking for ways that they can help do that, but in a way that is more affordable, because Canadians are struggling right now. And so this is what I'm going to be proposing, and I'm looking forward to having more to say on that.
Okay.
You know, one thing she's learned at such a young age is how to talk down to people. Because she's like, Canadians are struggling right now? Duh. Like, duh. Are you serious? Pretty sure Canadians know they're struggling right now.
Yeah, we don't need to be told. Thanks.
And allegedly Canadians across the country are lining up to buy an EV, but shucks, they're just too expensive.
It's not the expense that's the problem. It's the fact that in the winter, the battery life is cut nearly in half. I mean, I have a hybrid. I enjoy it because I mostly drive around the city running errands and things like that. But in the winter, it can barely get us to the grocery store and back.
It's terrible.
It is terrible.
Like it's terrible. And it's amazing this is a surprise to the manufacturers, because one thing that isn't new is, you know, sometimes you have to plug in your car to keep the juice going into the battery on really, really cold nights because of the effect that it has on the battery.
Yeah, a block heater. Yeah.
So, hello, this isn't new.
Yeah. So can you imagine you have a vehicle that only has a battery, like at least thank goodness the hybrid has the gas engine as well, but one that only has a battery and you're getting half as far as you would in the summer. Like, it's not, these cars are not made for Canadian winters.
And for those of you that haven't seen our previous video on this, so Karina Gould goes on to her announcement and goes on to say that she's not cutting the carbon tax, but she's doing us all a favor, and just she would not have the increases continue past April 1st of this year.
So it's going to stay exactly the way it is right now,
Pretty
which
much.
Canadians are barely getting by. I mean, I can't even say barely getting by. Canadians are not getting by at all. They did a survey recently, and Canadians are overdrawn. Like, they are the nation with the most credit card debt of any other nation.
Now, in the hypothetical case that Karina Gould is the stalking horse, she is the one, like, her only purpose is to draw votes away from Pierre. Can you imagine what would happen if she actually won the leadership of the Liberal Party? Can you imagine?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Oops.
Caucus support or cabinet support that you will expect to, you can make public now, or that we can expect to see in the coming days?
I think you'll start seeing that over the coming days. But one of the things that I think is really important is that this is about Liberal membership, this race. And for too long, Liberal members haven't felt like they've been heard within our party. And what I bring to the table is an opportunity to re-engage our base, to re-engage Canadians, and to bring them into a more positive light and a more positive future. And so I'm really excited about the support that I'm receiving across the country from young people, from moms, from parents, from grandparents, from people who are saying, she brings the energy, she brings the vision, and we're excited about the possibilities with her as a leader.
Last question is on Pierre Poilievre. You talked about him a little bit. How would you go toe-to-toe with him? Because he is a very aggressive, effective politician when he communicates. Would you be able to take that on in terms of the way he will inevitably attack you?
Rosie, I've been taking Pierre Poilievre on head-to-head in the House of Commons for years, and that is something that I bring to the table. We need someone who is going to lead the Liberal Party that can not only stand up for Canada when it comes to Donald Trump, but who can stand up to Canada when it comes to Pierre Poilievre. And I have been doing that effectively for the past number of years as House Leader and in my previous portfolios. And I'm going to do that every single day moving forward. We need someone who is political, who knows this game, and who is in it for the right reasons to fight for Canadians every single day. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Has anybody actually seen Karina Gould speak to Pierre in the House of Commons? I have, a lot. And she speaks to him like he's some unruly child that she can just talk down to and be like, well, if you don't do that, then I'm going to take your crayons away and you'll have to go to bed early.
Yeah, that's basically how she tries to talk to him.
And it doesn't work.
No.
Because he's not a child.
No, he kind of laughs and then he just moves on. Right? Like, he's like, really? That's what you're bringing? No. But this is the thing. This lady thinks that she is going to have a plan to deal with the crime, plan to deal with the economy, plan to deal with foreign policy, a plan to reclaim our national identity, a plan to heal the country. What are you going to do? Send everybody a coloring book? Because that's what it feels like. The more she talks, the more you just get the sense that you are way, way over your head here. And it feels less and less serious of an actual run and more just kind of like a kid playing at politics.
Like the stalking horse, like you said.
So credit to Brian Lilly because he called this out first. And I think that's what we're going to see here. I think, Karina Gould is going to try and make a little bit of noise here. But I think the interesting thing is she may end up focusing the attention on Carney's lack of empathy.
And lack of experience.
Yeah, and lack of experience. And, the fact that he doesn't have any charisma whatsoever. So this may actually backfire on this plan if this plan, is something that's actually in place right here. But who knows? Like, Freeland is terrible at speaking. She's fine until she opens her mouth.
But she's the best of the three, and that's the problem.
Right.
When you're that bad and you're still the best, like, yeah, man, I think it'd be a really bad time to be a liberal right now.